prompting thoughts about what they would feel like wrapped around me. I was broken out of my stupor when she crossed the aisle and went up on her tiptoes, stretching her arm up to a high shelf she couldn't reach. A grin split my face as I recognized the opportunity for what it was, and quickly sauntered over to her. "Hi," I murmured. I stifled a laugh when she jumped and whirled around, dropping her head back to look up at me. At 6'3" I towered over her smaller frame, and I found that it made me feel protective of her, although I suspected her body would fit perfectly against mine. I put on my most charming smile, and her green eyes darted to my lips before meeting my gaze again. A pretty pink blush dusted her cheeks, and her lips curled up. Hi? Which one are you going for?" "The vanilla extract," she mumbled, seemingly a little dazed. I silently cheered because she appeared to be as affected by me as I was by her. I plucked the box she requested off the top shelf and handed it to her. When she took it, I held on just long enough to ensure our fingers brushed together. Electricity sparked between us, and her blush deepened as her eyes widened. "Thank you." "Glad I could help," I replied with a wink. She laughed ruefully and gestured to the shelving. "I never had this much trouble growing up, but everything in New York gets taller instead of wider." I cocked my head to the side and tried to place her subtle accent. "Where are you from?" "Illinois." I smiled and crossed my arms over my chest. What a coincidence. I happen to be from Wisconsin. We're basically neighbors, and neighbors should know each other's names. I held out my hand, but turned it palm up rather than the traditional offer of a handshake. "Rigby Hunt." She placed her small, soft hand in mine, and another frisson of electricity shot up my arm and down my body, straight to my dick. My fingers closed around hers, and I contemplated how to prolong our time together so I didn't have to let go. "I'm Cleo Fox," she told me, glancing down at our joined hands. To my delight, she didn't try to pull back, and I gave her a lopsided grin. "It's nice to meet you, neighbor." Cleo giggled, her eyes twinkling as she bobbed her head up and down once. "Ditto." I didn't want to press my luck, so I reluctantly loosened my hold and gently dropped her hand. When hesitancy flashed across her beautiful face, I fought the urge to grab her hand again and pull her against my body. "Did you just move to the neighborhood?" I asked, trying to distract myself while learning more about her. Cleo shook her head, then nodded before laughing. "I mean, I didn't just move into the neighborhood, but I just moved to New York in the fall." She gestured in a random direction. "I'm a student at Tisch. I live in the dorms there, but a friend of mine is only 2 blocks from here. I'm visiting her for the night, and we decided we needed cookies." I chuckled before turning my lips down into a fake pout that made her giggle. "Damn, I was hoping I'd run into you more often." Cleo raised an eyebrow and cocked her head to the side. "There are many ways to run into people. Like, say, at a specific date, time, and place?" I laughed again, surprised at how thoroughly I enjoyed her company. Normally, the only women I was comfortable around were my sister and my teammates' wives, who were like family. Not that I spent much time around anyone. Being surrounded by too many people tended to make me irritable. Plus, most of the women I'd met who looked like Cleo were as fake as all the body parts they had nipped and tucked in order to be that way. However, Cleo was a mesmerizing mixture of beautiful, sweet, sassy, and fun. "You have a point, baby." I tapped my chin in fake contemplation. "Why don't you give me your number, and we can plan to run into each other again?" Cleo beamed at me and nodded. "I'd love that." I took my cell out of my pocket and handed it to her so she could enter her information into my contacts. "I'll call you," I said softly as I took the device back and gave her hand a gentle squeeze. Cleo blushed again and nodded. "I hope so," she murmured before turning to walk away. It hit me right then that not only hadn't she fawned all over me, but she also hadn't made a single reference to my career or who I was. Curious, I called out, "Are you a fan of football?" Cleo halted and pivoted around, her lips forming a smirk. "I've been a Nighthawks fan all my life. My dad is originally from Long Island." My brow rose to my